Hi guys, how you all doing? Hope you're all well. So, update 5, final reveal, would you call it, of the Panther 401 build, buddy build, with my good friend Halidon. You'll know him as. I know him better as Glenn. Very, very, very dear friend. Such a good bloke and such a talented modeller, as I'm sure you're all aware. So what we'll do is we'll go over to the workbench, which is over there. But first, I'll show you what it is basically. So I've been working on the Panther G, which is that one, which is a Tamiya kit. Glenn has worked on the Panther, a Tamiya Panther. He's worked on 2. He's pimped 1 up, and which is basically he's done absolutely every aftermarket you could possibly think of. He's added to it. Excuse me guys, it's very hot, and when you're not particularly well, you feel everything. And it was disgusting, but still, it's life. And the other one he's built out of the box, but he's built 2 of the Panther G, but the steel-wheeled version. I've decided to do this buddy build on a certain commander, Ernst Barkmann. His story was just for something you'd only see in Daredevil or Superman or Batman or something. It was just amazing. If you want to know the story, it's in the update before. The figures I've used in this, as you'll see through the whole of the updates, as this is what they're for, to update people on as you're progressing and stuff like that. So I wanted originally a infantry soldier on a horse, which was a Tamiya set, and I initially wanted about 5 or 6 figures, I think, on the dio, which is quite a small dio, which over time and over advice from Glenn himself, he said it might become a little bit too busy perhaps, and I think he was right. So I cut it down to now 3 figures, one of which I can't show you a picture of because he was a resin figure, and I thought he was like a proper full expensive, well, not an expensive one, but you know, from a proper company. It turned out that it was perhaps a remoulding and a rip-off, but still it's turned out quite well actually. One of the figures is actually this one, which I'm using as Ernst himself, Mr. Barkmann. Let's have a quick closer up, which is a Panzer Art one. I will show you the pictures, this again up close, and I'll show you which figure he is. And the other figures, the other figure which I can show you is from this Dragon set. Now I know it says Leningrad 1943, but as you can tell it's all in snowy conditions, and I did actually see this dio is set in the Battle of the Bulge, and I did actually see several infantry figures, and well, possibly SS I think, that were actually dressed in some of these big heavy duty jackets. So the one I've used is this one in the middle, which is there, and I'll show you again on the dio. I basically wanted him because he's walking and he's in motion, and I wanted it to look like the tank has pulled over, and Mr. Ernst himself is talking to the other figure that I can't show you a picture of, and it looks as though they're discussing plans, and one of them is looking at something in the distance, while the Panther is all sealed up in the background. There is no hatches open because it's a Tamiya kit, so there's no interior. It does have the gun breech in the turret, however you can't really see it unless I have the escape hatch at the back of the turret open. So I've sealed all the hatches up, but I did read on and actually found that the town that I'm portraying it in was actually under heavy mortar fire from the Americans, because they were trying to break the German resistance in there at the time. So obviously tanks would pulled over would obviously be a sitting target, but also the first rule of the engagement there would be, I would presume, that as soon as they got out of the tank, they'd seal the hatches again, just in case. So that sort of backs the story up slightly, which I'm trying to portray. The tank I've tried to portray is in a sort of like a I don't know where you are viewing this in the world perhaps, but in Britain we have terraced houses, and in the back, especially Stoke-on-Trent in the city more, Liverpool, Manchester, Coronation Street particularly portrays it very well, if anybody knows that programme. The back streets and the cobbled back streets, and they're in terraced houses, so they'd have like a little backyard and a wooden fence with a gate, and they'd sort of come onto the cobbled path, cobbled roadway, which was tiny, which some you'd fit a car down, some you'd fit a tank down, but you couldn't fit two down, and so on. So that's what I've tried to portray. The tank is sort of pulled up at the back of some houses in this town, and it's on the town. I forgot the name of it typically, which is great, being this is their final reveal, but still. And like I say, the story goes that there's an infantry walking past, an SS soldier and Ernst discussing something in the foreground, or plans possibly. The tank has now been covered in snow. It's not properly covered in snow. Pardon me, excuse me. The story again I'm trying to portray is that it's obviously very cold. There has been snowfall. It's very frozen in places, well, all over in fact, and it's basically going to be but patches here and there of mud, and the mud is actually frozen too, but there's, you know, the tank is caped, because as I'll show you in a minute, all of the research I've done basically shows at this time tanks quite heavily camouflaged in places, but also caked in mud, and it was just filthy, and especially the German ones. So that's what I try to portray. I believe I'm actually, for once in my life, I'm actually quite happy. Obviously you're never 100% happy with your work, which if I ever become 100% happy with my work, then I suppose it's time to give up, is it? Because there's no room for improvement. I don't know, is that right? Anyway, so yeah, there's places that, and my weathering's never great. I class myself as a builder. I love the construction of model kits. I've now found that the more serious I've taken this hobby for a few years now, I've found that the more I want to be challenged with my building, so I'm sort of more attracted to the dragon kits, Meng, you know, Takom, and sort of bits like that, AFV Club. So although it does come time when you do, my favourite manufacturer will always be Tamiya and Takom. They're both my two favourite manufacturers, and I love Tamiya kits, I really do, and there always comes time for a Tamiya kit because you need your mojo boosting. Coming on to mojo, this has sapped my mojo again. It's my own fault, I believe, because I just let things drag on, and you know, and I get in from work sometimes, and with the health and whatever else, I'm just so exhausted that I just can't be arsed to go upstairs and even do 2 minutes on something. So, and majority of the time I'm knackered and I fall asleep straight away anyway. So, but anyway, so that was the other figure pack. The main research that I've used, these two Casemate illustrated books I bought. The first one on the Ardennes, 1944. This is great. As you know, as you will see here, the picture on there, you'll see that I've actually attempted for the first time to do the camouflage on the helmet. I'll tell you how I did that when I come round to it. So that was the first one, fantastic book. The second one was again the Casemate Illustrated, but this one was with the 2nd SS Panzer Division Das Reich. Again, another fantastic book. Any of these books that you want to me to review, if you put in the comments, I will review them. I have got a couple coming up, book reviews that I love, but also a couple of accessory reviews as well that I'd like to do. The second was this one. Third, sorry, was this one, Hitler's Elite, which was the SS 1939 to 45, and this is where I originally read of Barkmann's plight in the Bulge. Then the fourth and fifth were these two titles of the Images of War. Now, any of you that speak to me in the Facebook pages and groups will know that I heavily recommend these books. These Images of War books are incredible. They really are. The more modern, the modern era ones, you get some colour photos, some you don't, but the photographs in these are incredible. I have bought quite a few recently, but the Panther Tank has helped quite a lot. That's where I found the research for the camo and everything like that. And then the Battle of the Bulge. But if these are this title, the Images of War titles, are the titles I always go to when I start a new project because they're so cheap. I mean, they're supposed to retail at anything from £15 upwards, brand new, but if you go onto Amazon or eBay, you can get them for £2 or £3, which is great in England, in UK, sorry. And then the main one for detailing of the tank, although it's not accurate because the tank that came, the kit that came in the box, I didn't sort of have the time and money at the time to sort of buy the resin bits and everything to make it 100% accurate. Well, I'll show that as we come to it, is this one. Now I have done a book review of this, Turning the Page, which is my book reviews playlist, save list, or whatever you want to say, on YouTube on my channel. So check it out. This was a very expensive book. I had it for my birthday, but it's just because the Panther is probably one of my favourite tanks in the Second World War. Excuse me. Then that's what I wanted, and it's brilliant. It goes through every single version, down to the stowage boxes on the back, barrels, exhausts, grills, nuts and bolts on the wheels. Everything is in there, which differs on each version. So that is excellent. So that is about it for the research and everything that I used for this project. And of course, you guys that will hopefully watch this, mainly on the Watson or Facebook page, a lot of chaps on there have helped me no end with the questions I've asked on how to do certain bits and certain methods and ways of doing things for the diorama and stuff. I won't mention you all because there's too many and I've rattled on enough now. So yeah, so thank you to all. But yeah, so we'll stop this now, and next time hopefully you'll see the bench and the final reveal. Thanks guys, see you soon, bye. Hi guys. Right, so the final reveal. Here we go. So yeah, this is it really. Here's the figures. As you can see, I've put 3 figures on to here. That was the figure there, the SS guy that I said I can't actually show you. Barkmann himself, is this chap here, which you'll see coming around, which is that chap, which is him here. I will give you some close-ups in a minute, and we'll go a bit closer in. And then of course that dragon guy, which is this gate before we come in, him is this chap here. As we come round, he's the one that I'm hoping to portray as in motion. I've sort of added bits of snow onto the jacket because they're sort of coming over and they've walked through, there's mud, so they've been walking and coming up to Barkmann to discuss him. So Barkmann's fairly clean of snow. He has, so because he would have just come out the tank, so he's fairly clear of snow. There's none on him. There's got a bit of mud on his boots, but that's about it. The others have got mud. The other two got mud on the jackets, which I've done with a bit of airbrushing and then adding bits onto the helmets and the uniforms and everything. As you can see, the dragon figure, I've basically added the sort of canvas cover onto the helmet using some tissue paper and white glue. When that's set, if any of you want me to show you how to do that, I shall show you. I'm sure you all know. And then what I did was I got some jammy dog tape, masking tape, which is really thin and sort of stretchy. It's like the Tamiya white tape around his helmet, and then I added some AK dried grass onto it with white glue. Then I stuck the white tape around to make it look as though he stuck it in his helmet sort of tie. The weapons are the ones that came with them, with the kits. The slings I've made out of very thin Tamiya tape, the thinnest white tape there is. I just basically cut it and stuck it on with super glue, that's it. The fence, which is over here, that's just made up of coffee stirrers and lollipop sticks, that's it. The wall here is basically styrofoam foam board, which is I've just carved in the brick wall and painted it and so on. The grass is made up of string, which is Ian White's CW modelling. His method of doing long grass, well, grass of however you want to sort of have it. The sort of conifer trees and pine trees are basically out of my garden. Again, just a bit of string that's tied them on, because I find sometimes a lot of modellers stick the bits of stowage and camouflage on, but then they don't, and it's sort of stuck on with super glue or glue, and then I just feel that, if you're being really picky, somebody will come along and say, well, how's that actually being stuck on, so that's basically done with, so that's how I've done that with a bit of rope. The snow, the sort of whiter snow is AK's snow. The bits of ice and flaky snow is Dulux Materials. The leaves are actually leaves, but I've used the a leaf stamp, which is like a Wool Gamer one that I got off online. The bricks in that are basically courtesy of 1/35 scale dioramas, which is Simon Kemp's. Thank you to Simon. Some bits that he very kindly gave me for Christmas a year or so back, and I've used those. The board is actually a foam board again, which has got cobbles carved in. The puddles are AK puddles. The mud is all AK and MIG ammo sort of bits I've done and used. The ice, which you can see, the ice is basically Dulux Materials icicles, which I think really does work, and I think it's really good. and the bits of foliage and all that are basically either out of the garden, which are all tree roots, some sea foam, which is this bit here on top of the tank, and let's sort of zoom in a little bit just to give you a bit closer look at some other bits as we go. Let's see if we can. Rust streaks and all that type of thing are just basically oils, and same as the oil bits and rust streaks and fuel stains and all those type of bits are just basically oils. The numbers and the unit insignias are sprayed on with normal paint, which I use Tamiya spray paints, Tamiya normal acrylics thinned with let me see if I've got it here, I can show you. I always thin my Tamiya acrylics with this Mr. Colour Levelling Thinner, which is a lacquer thinner, I think, I believe. So that's about it for all the diorama bits. The gun barrel is metal, which is RB barrels, 3.5, if you see that. That is the number for the metal barrel for the Panther Tank. It says for dragging, but a bit of surgery fits no problem. The MG at the front is also metal barrel, and that is that one there. The tow cables, let's just come out again so I can show you. The tow cable on there is basically picture wire, which I've always used, and I've got the kit tow hooks and tow cable hooks, and basically drilled those out, and added this in with a bit of super glue and then painted it. The metal vents on the back are metal, and it's this airwave set. Sorry, excuse me. This one, which is the Panther G early grills, which we'll get onto why it's not accurately correct in a minute. So that's that one. The shirt then, that was, I believe actually I got that. The Scherzen on the sides, which is the side bits, is this set, which was very kindly sent to me from Glenn, all the way from Australia, which is this one, ET model set. I've still got quite a few panels left, as you can see. I must admit, it's the first time I've used photo etch Scherzen, and I'm definitely using it again because you can bend it, you can dent it, you can do all sorts to it. The next thing I will do is also you can't see because it's all under snow and everything. I will definitely add some metal mud guards as well at the front. I just believe that it looks a lot better. So let's go on to extras. The metal, the aerial mast is basically what I always use, which is Albion Alloys Precision Metals, which is always the 0.5mm bits, and of course you get like that in a pack for about £2, and you get plenty of strands that you've got for years to go. And then let's get on to the tracks. The tracks are the first time using these, which are the full model tracks, sent by Glenn again, Halidon, but also Alan Little. He also sent me some, which was very kind of him. You know, it's just great. The first time using them, I will definitely use them again. The sagging them and all sorts you can do with them. Oh, it's just brilliant. They really are. They're obviously a bit expensive, but I will definitely be saving up for future builds to add them. It's well worth it, definitely. So that's basically it. The telephone mast and wires are just basically some jewellery wire, and that mast is actually from a Talieri set. So that's basically it. Basically the bits that were wrong are the front gun mantle is actually a late type. It needs to be Ernst tank was actually an early type, and also the vent here should be flat, and that's actually a late type vent. Also, one other thing that I added, which was aftermarket, three other bits were there's some dragon tools on there, which I've used. There's also the handles on the back, the grab handles are metal jewellery wire and fuse wire. And the last bit, which was, what was the last bit? Oh yeah, the barbed wire was basically some Games Workshop stuff that I've just rolled up and stuck there instead of like the telephone wire or whatever it was that they had there. So basically guys, that is it. That is all that was that I've used for this build basically. Let's try and move you slightly and I'll get you into the figures as they come round. So I apologise, but let's see if we can get them all in shot. So here are the figures. So yeah, that's my first time of doing P-dot camo and all sorts. So that was my first time doing P-dot camo, and obviously the bits on the helmet for the camouflage. So I was quite chuffed with that really. I was quite happy that I'd done all that. Let me just stop you and then we can go in a bit closer onto the figures before my battery dies. Let's just move that round, sorry. And then I can go in a bit closer to you and we can see the we can go into ourselves and we'll have a look. Okay, we'll bring it down. So here we go. So yeah, as you can see, I basically airbrushed the mud and that onto the bottoms of the jackets and that, sort of, and on the knees there, and then also onto where I thought they'd be crawling about, so they'd have bits on the bottom of the jackets. And then also, let's go round to there, they've got some on the shoulders and then on the back of the elbows and bits. I've tried to do shading and that on the figures, which is the first time I've tried that for a while. I do believe that the helmet is, his cap is probably the best bit. My forte is not figures at all guys, it really isn't. That's Mr. Barkmann himself. That's my first time doing P-dot camo, which I was quite chuffed with. It's not accurate and it's not great, but it's better than, you know, I could probably try again. And then if you go round onto the figure here, you can see that I've sort of added the mud by airbrush on the bottom, and then a few bits of just normal mud and that that I've used on the base, just onto the bottom of his cloak there. And then I've had bits of snow on him as though he's just been walking for a bit. And then there's his helmet. His helmet is basically, like I said, the bit of stripping, which doesn't look great as you zoom in. But it's, yeah, it's alright, it'll do with some dry grass. It's better than nothing. So yeah. So I'm quite happy with that for my figures. Not 100%, but you know, like I said, I don't want it to be 100%, or we've got no way of improving, have we? Right guys, before everything dies, hope you're all well. Thank you for joining me, and thanks for support and all the kind comments on the on this project. A massive thank you to Glenn Halidon. Please check him out. I shall leave a a shortcut to his a link down below in the comment section, sorry, in the description of the video, to his channel. Thank you to everybody that has assisted with the comments, and kind comments, and everything else, basically, the help that you've all given me. It's been absolutely amazing, it really has. I'm quite chuffed with the project. I feel each project I'm doing, I feel I'm getting a little bit better each time. You know, it's not 100% great, it never will be, but I don't say that I'm, you know, the professional model, and I don't certainly want to be. Right guys, my next project will be coming up soon. It will not, here's a spoiler, it will not be the IDF build, as this build has sapped me, so I want to do something a little bit different, but something that's not going to be massively time consuming, so the IDF build will hopefully be after this next build. I'll give you a clue, it's not armour. There you go. So thanks guys, thanks Glenn, thanks for being such a cool dude and helping out with everything you've done, with the purchases you've done and all sorts. You're a true friend and such a kind gent. Thanks guys, hope you're all well, hope you'll stay safe, and may the force be with you. See you guys, bye.